So a little while ago I made a video about the flaws of the main difficulty system of Appel, the Michael Chan system, also known as the explosion system. And in that video I said that I might be cooking up a new system. This video will explain my thought process while creating this new system. But first, a slightly important side note leading up to this new system. I have been working on a sort of Appel progression guide for the past 6 months, where I needed to decide which levels were at which stages of progression. Here are the different stages that I worked out. First, I would consider 1 to 3E levels beginner levels. These are levels that generally can be beaten by anybody, especially newer players, who have some skill with platformers. Next up is the 4 to 6E range, which is the intermediate range, I would say. These are where levels start to introduce stuff like side jumping and spike edges. These levels will start to require higher amounts of effort than beginner levels, and people will start to have to struggle to improve past this range. Next up is the 7 to 9 explosion range, which is the advanced range. Beating levels in this range is where things start to get really difficult, and people will start to become good at Appel. After this comes the 1 bomb level, and if you're able to beat levels like this, I would consider you an Appel expert. Beating a 1 bomb level is a huge accomplishment that's pretty memorable for everybody who gets that far. Next up is the 2B difficulty, where you've reached the mastery. You're just really good at Appel once you've reached this spot, and not many people get here, so if you do a good job. And finally, we have the 3 bomb and above area, which is what we consider Grandmaster, just peak of the peak. This is like 8 or so people have made it here, and after that, I started just thinking and reflecting back on these different tiers, and I started thinking, hey, this sounds like a difficulty system. So now let's make a list of good aspects we should have in our difficulty system, and common mistakes we should avoid when making it, and then implement them into it. So here's the list I came up with for things that the system should have. I'm probably forgetting something important, so if there's anything this system could use, just please let me know in the comments. I want this system to be the best it can be. First, let's make it so that this system handles higher difficulty levels, so we avoid having the Geometry-Extreme Demon problem. To avoid this, we can just add higher tiers of Grandmaster, just like the Celeste scale does. So now we have Grandmaster being 3B, Grandmaster Tier 2 being 4B, Grandmaster Tier 3 being 5B, and just so on and so on. Second, making the system be able to give a better view on how difficult a level is pretty important, since currently the range of difficulties under 1 bomb loses a lot of precision compared to the explosion system. So the easy solution is to just add sub-tiers. We want this system to remain fairly intuitive, so we're going to use something that has already started appearing when describing bomb levels, which is having low 1 bomb levels, medium 1 bomb levels, and high 1 bomb levels. Taking this to just low, middle, and high sub-tiers and applying it to the system pans out really well, with a low beginner corresponding to 1E, medium beginner to 2E, high beginner to 3E, and low intermediate to 4E, and it just keeps on going on and on and on. This works out really well to keep the specifics of how difficult each level is when using explosions, as well as gaining how specific difficulties can be at the bomb levels, just a bit over the Michael scale. This flows really well into our next goal, which is making it transition cleanly and simply over from the explosion system, since this is meant to be a system that takes the core difficulties of the explosion system and transfer it over to our system. Here's a quick little look at the difficulty table. And now to the next point, which is making sure the system is fairly intuitive, which I hope it is, as it's based on just a very simple core that's kind of based off of how levels are already treated by the community, along with it's been worked on with others, kind of taking feedback from them, like wyatpenguin and orange fruit. Next up is creating cool logos, which I hopefully did. I tried to make it be focused on being more original to Appel instead of just random emojis. So first I pretty much just took the default ground blocks from Appel, rotated them 45 degrees, and just colored them different colors to represent the difficulties. I then added a smaller neutral, up or down arrows to the bottom to indicate whether it's low, medium, or high. So now let's go through the logos for different tiers. First we have beginner, which is the 1 to 3E range. Secondly we have intermediate, which is the 4 to 6E range. Last of the easier difficulties is advanced, which is the 7 to 9E range. Now in the more difficult difficulties, starting off with Expert, which is the 1 bomb range. Next up is Master, which is the 2 bomb range. Lastly, we have Grandmaster, which is the 3 bomb range. To indicate which tier of Grandmaster the level is, I added a little yellow tick on the top right, with 1 or no ticks being the base Grandmaster. 2 ticks being Grandmaster Tier 2, and so on and so on. The last thing I thought of is making it so that all of the levels are rated consistently. So I'm just going to set some ranges right here on how things are rated on the Apple hardest level list. So first, anything below the difficulty of Swiftly is a low beginner. Next, anything more difficult than Swiftly, but less than or equal in difficulty to Demolished, is medium beginner. Anything more difficult than Demolished, but less than or equal to in difficulty than Hard Soil, is high beginner. Next up, anything more difficult than Hard Soil, but less than or equally difficult to Air Ride, is low intermediate. Anything more difficult than Air Ride, but less than or equal to difficulty in Drops of Pain, is medium intermediate. And anything more difficult than Drops of Pain, but less than or equal to in difficulty than Loophole, is high intermediate. Next, anything more difficult than Loophole, but less than or equal to Celestial Rainstorm, is low advanced. Anything more difficult than Celestial Rainstorm, but less than or equal to Panic Paranoia, is medium advanced. And anything more difficult than Panic Paranoia, but less than or equally difficult to loop around, is high advanced. Now, onto the bomb levels. First, anything more difficult than looped around, but less than or equal to in difficulty with Possibility, is low expert or low on bomb levels. Anything more difficult than Possibility, but less than or equally difficult to Crushed It, is medium expert. And anything more difficult than Crushed It, but less than or equally difficult to Falling Apart Hard, is high expert. Anything more difficult than Falling Apart Hard, but less than or equally difficult to Blossoms, is low master. Anything more difficult than Blossoms, but less than or equally difficult to Coexistence, is medium master. And anything more difficult than Coexistence, but less than or equally difficult to Rainfall, is a high master. Anything more difficult than Rainfall, but less than or equally difficult to Peridot Pinnacle C, is a low Grandmaster. Anything more difficult than Peridot Pinnacle C, but less than or equally difficult to Radiation, is a medium Grandmaster. And anything more difficult than Radiation, but less than or equally difficult to Icomophobia, is high Grandmaster. We can't really give accurate guidelines on anything higher than that yet, since there's like 2 levels above that rated, and one of them's a Grandmaster Tier 2 and the other one's a Grandmaster Tier 3. So now when you're rating your levels, compare it to these guide levels. And to any major level pack creators, when using the system, please re-rate your levels when they get placed on the Apple Hardest Level List Extended using its official difficulty. That's the last little step needing to make everything just a little bit more accurately rated. The main flaw with this system right now is kind of unavoidable, which is levels being placed inaccurately on the Apple Hardest Level List. The main way to bandage this issue is to take in the opinions of multiple top players who generally have a similar opinion on the difficulty of levels. There are certain instances when this is necessary, since people overrate their levels or underrate the levels and ended up placed very, very high in the Apple Hardest Level List, and it really throws off the balance. This is most commonly seen when people are getting better and haven't yet practiced certain skills, or they want to appear better than they actually are, especially when creating a 4 to 5e level and calling them a true 1 bomb this time. But quick, one last thing. Here's where I need your help. First, if there are any flaws with my system, please point them out in the comments, since that's how we make a good difficulty system, by taking feedback from everybody. And also suggest solutions to those problems, to just make it so that I'm not thinking of how to fix all of the problems by myself. All of the corrections made will be just little edits in the description, and even if you don't know Apple that well, you can bring an outside opinion to the topics, and that's very valuable. And for those of you that are Apple level creators, maybe throw in this Radium system into your packs. And don't worry, ACP in 1 week. It's close.